Bring that joy. Bring that joy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's. Okay, it's not an episode. This is not a YouTube channel, but yeah, you're welcome to day two of the virtual summit. I can see we have lots of amazing people that have joined us from different parts of the world. So please tell us in the comment section where you are tuning in from. Oh, coconut chips. You're welcome. Welcome, Tomiwa. So today we're going to be talking about something very exciting, and that is how and what it's like to create all the products that you love. So yesterday we had amazing people that work in the non-product side of tech, and they told us about how they got into their careers, what they do in their day-to-day role. And for today, we're going to be talking to people that actually create the products that you use. So think YouTube that you're on right now, think Facebook, think Google Meet, think TikTok, think Twitter. These are the amazing people that build products like that. Also, think your banking app. You like to use money and spend money. All right, awesome. So we are having this event courtesy Builders Tribe. Builders Tribe is an amazing, amazing community in the MENA region where we connect tech people, tech enthusiasts, and we essentially create that link and connection to connect founders with people that can work with them to build out their ideas. We connect people that would like to be advisors and also investors with those founders also. We do this through events like this one. We have our physical event coming up very soon on the 26th of October. So if you're in Qatar or anywhere in the Middle East and you want to attend, you can always just make it. So make sure you subscribe to the Builders Tribe YouTube channel because we'll share a lot more things in the coming weeks, months, years to help you in your tech journey and your tech career and help you integrate more into this career that you are either interested in or already participating in. So welcome once again. Oh, I see. Tommy was here from Nigeria. That's great to know. Okay, lots of Nigerians. We love that. Okay, now we're going to move on into the first part of today's session, and that is our keynote. So our keynote will be taken by Barbara Zimmer. Barbara is amazing. First of all, I remember the first time I met Barbara, and she told me what she does and where she works. I'm not going to tell you. I'll let her tell you herself. I was blown away because, like, I checked her LinkedIn. I was like, "Wow, you have so many years of experience. That's amazing." And thankfully, she's here today to share her own experience with you about how she became a product leader in tech. So she's a director of digital products and experiences at Qatar Tourism. I'm going to let her tell you exactly what that means and what she does and everything around that. And yeah, so we have Barbara, our keynote speaker. Drum roll. Hello, Barbara.
Hello, Ajiri. Thank you for the introduction. It was a great introduction. Thank you so much.
Come.
All right, so that means I can kick it off.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so as Ajiri already briefly introduced myself, so let me add a little bit more to that. And I do also remember the first time that we met indeed. So my name is Barbara. I'm currently Director of Digital Experiences and Products at Qatar's National Tourism Board. Naturally, I'm based in Doha, Qatar. I am responsible for all of our digital and digitally augmented, mainly customer or visitor-facing experiences, website, app, our GenAI chatbot, our digital communication channels, and all the digital marketing channels. and the digitally assisted physical experiences that we have. Before this role, I was with Qatar Airways, where I was heading the digital product and customer research and data insights teams. So I did share a few slides. If I will be able to present them. Okay, excellent. Can you go back one slide, please? Back. Yeah, thank you so much. So if I would sum up my career journey so far, I think these would be the most fitting images that I would pick. So you can see there's a lot of travel. Travel has been a theme in my personal life, but also in my professional life. And while I've been working on digital products throughout my whole career, all of these products were actually related to travel. And that's something I very consciously enjoy and I'm very passionate about, because if you consider travel as a product itself, it is really something very emotional. It's an experience, and it's very different to products that you may want to consider more of utilities. And then in the middle, there is what I would say representing lifelong learning, because my career so far has also been a journey for me. My initial education was in business administration. Then I started my work life in digital marketing. I started to develop interest for user experience design. Then I switched to the more technical world. I did a Master of Science in Human-Computer Interaction, all of that besides actually continuing to work. And then I moved closer with each role that I had into product. I transformed teams, I scaled product teams, both in terms of the size and the maturity. In my previous role, I actually led or co-led the move from more traditional waterfall to agile cross-functional product teams. We introduced techniques that some of you may be familiar with, which is quarterly planning or OKRs. And now again, the role I'm in, I'm transforming team. And each of those transformation journeys actually has been a learning for myself as well. Because transforming the way teams are working, in particular in large organizations, is actually one of the most challenging things that you can take up, apart from, of course, starting your own business, maybe. So that's a bit of my background. And since I know we have a bit of a mixed audience from different sizes of organizations, from different disciplines, we have product people, we have designers, we have engineers probably also listening in. I also want to talk a bit about the interrelations between these disciplines and the differences between working in large organizations versus smaller organizations or startups when it comes to the product space. And yes, I've actually also had my own startup at some point, so I have that experience as well. And then I want to point out and talk about how the consciousness around the differences actually helped me and potentially will also be able to help you to become really a leader in the product space. So I can see the slides are up again. If you can go to if you can skip 2 slides. No. This one. So let me start maybe with a basic question. So what does a product manager actually do? What is product? So maybe you yourself have asked yourself the question. Maybe you work in a large organization and you've heard that question being asked, because typically also in large organizations we have tech and business, right? So that's the classic 2 counterparts that you have. So a product manager, and I'm using this term regardless of how the actual title is, because in different organizations there are lots of different titles. A product manager is actually expected to be what we call a T-shaped individual. So they need to be generalists. They need to have a broad understanding of UX, a broad understanding of broad technical understanding. And mostly, and that's the in-depth knowledge part that they need, is the business understanding. So they need to know their users, their pain points, they need to know the industry, they need to know very well their product metrics, the behavioral data around the usage of the product, so they can actually make data-informed decisions. Product managers also define the strategic direction of each product, the product vision, and one of the key functions is that they are building bridges, and that not only between the disciplines that you can see here, but also between the team and the stakeholders. So any other business function that you may face in an organization. So now, does that mean that a product manager can actually do all by herself, and you don't need a UX designer, you don't need developers? Of course not. Yeah. Having this broad knowledge doesn't mean that the product manager is an expert in the discipline or in charge of can be in charge of everything on her own. Which is why you have what you sometimes call the trinity of product development. And if you go to the next slide, you can actually see that, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So the trinity of product development, where you have the product manager responsible for the what and the why, and the developers and the designers responsible for the how. Then there's often the talk about the friction that you have between the roles. Potentially you have experienced it yourself, right? Because some of you may already be working on products. You have friction between product management, the UX designer, the tech lead. But ultimately, those disciplines need to work together. Yeah, the way I see this friction is that it's just the natural creative tension that you have between the disciplines. All the three disciplines must be contributing in order to solve the actual problem, which is then ultimately the solution or your product. So let me talk a little bit about the differences between large product management in large organizations versus product management in startups. As I also know, some of you are maybe creating their own startups, so that there are a few differences that you may want to be conscious of at least. One of them would be the scope of your portfolio. In a startup or in a smaller organization, a product manager may actually need to do everything, maybe apart from the actual coding. So you may need to create designs, conduct user interviews. You may need to do the QA yourself. And that's, by the way, all what I did in my startup. That really makes you very humble if you do all of that yourself. And as the company grows, you get more specialized roles, there are functions that are being added, and the product manager role actually reduces in their scope. And at the other end of the extreme, you then have the product manager purely doing prioritization. So that product manager focuses really on deciding what to build and when and for whom. Then you have processes, or what we call sometimes product operations. So at large companies, you have really very clearly defined processes that are established. Any new product or any new feature goes often through multiple reviews before it can be developed. On the one hand, that can take time. On the other hand, that is also potentially needed because the teams are so big, they just need some more structures in order to bring a product to life. Then the other extreme, as you probably all know, startups mostly don't have processes. Decision-making is less structured, but it's also fast. And then you have the companies in between, mid-sized companies, where you likely have a mix. That can mean, for example, you have larger initiatives that follow a very strict process. And then you have smaller changes where such processes are basically skipped. The other area I want to talk about when you see the differences is the ownership of products and agency. So at a small startup, for example, each product manager will own an entire product area or even a whole business line. And you'll be looking at this product from start to end as a whole. You prioritize this, you create the strategy, you create the roadmap for your whole product. At a large company, you may face situations where you are actually only responsible for part of a product or a particular feature only. That also means that in large companies, there's often collaboration needed with other product managers to ultimately get some of the initiatives over the finish line. You have dependencies. So these are all things that could slow you down, actually. But you also collaborating very well and then creating really impactful products. What you will also have in large organizations is you are introducing multiple hierarchical levels in the product organization. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later as well. So yeah, you see other differences here on the slide, but I'm going to skip all of that because these are just a few areas of how the role can actually vary. But being aware of those differences between the organizations, between different sizes of organizations, and helping you understand what is your preferences will actually help you to maybe pick the right environment for you. Yeah, what kind of context, what kind of process, if at all you want process, are you actually enjoying to work in? It's an important question. And then 2, it can help you choose your learning journey, because each role in the different environment along the spectrum that you've seen in the slide, I hope you were able to, gives you actually an opportunity to learn, to build your skills, and to grow into a better product professional, and ultimately then to grow into a product leader. Because as a product leader, you will need to be aware of those differences. You have a team that you are ultimately responsible for, that you need to guide towards growing in maturity, depending on the context that they're in or the stage of the journey that they're in. So I already briefly mentioned the different hierarchical levels, and I want to just add a little bit around that, because in large organizations, you have a multitude of different levels and titles. You have junior product manager, just simply product manager. You have lead product manager, senior product manager, head of product, and you name it, the lists can go on. And none of these titles are actually standardized. So a head of product in one organization can mean something very different in terms of what they're responsible to another organization. And if you can actually start to search for it for across all of the big organizations, Amazon, etc., most of them are applying different titles depending on the hierarchy of within the product organization. So it's not aligned. So you really need to find out what exactly the title corresponds to. And then in larger organizations, as you move along this career ladder from maybe a more junior role to a more senior role, maybe also your scope will change. So you will not have direct responsibility of an individual product anymore, but over a product portfolio. But you will have team members that are directly responsible for the product. And the higher you move in this ladder, the further you will move away from your actual product. So as a product person, you will actually need to let go of some of the more executional parts related to your product at some point. And that can be something very difficult actually for you to accept, in particular if you are passionate about your product. And most successful product people actually are very passionate about the product. And my last point now that I want to call out and specifically highlight is this move towards really a product leader is really the pivotal moment when your focus really is shifting away from how your actual product looks, and it moves to actually building processes and frameworks for your product teams that they can then use, that they can adopt, that will enable them to do their work, to solve the problems for their users and to deliver those amazing solutions. It starts then with being a leader when you need to bring in the changes in terms of the ways of working so that your team can also grow and mature. You become responsible for defining your organization. You need to explain what are the resources that you need, what are the skills that you need. You need to communicate that in your organization. In general, your communication sphere is shifting a little bit more towards external parties as well, maybe external departments. So you're really required to also influence beyond your own organization and beyond your own scope. And of course, one of the most important things once you become a leader, a product leader, is that the success is not coming through you as an individual, but really through your team. So as a leader in product, you have to create the environment and the context for your teams that they can then ultimately bring those products to life that the customers enjoy. And I think that's a good note to end my brief introduction on product management and product leadership. And I will hand back to Ajiri for the next session. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Barbara, for that very enlightening session. I've been in product for a while and did not have this level of information around, what product management is because, like you said, on my end, we're more involved in the how rather than the why. And yeah, so this was very insightful. I've learned a lot, and I'm also thinking about what that means for me when I become a design leader. So thank you very much for sharing. Thank you very much for your time. And yeah, that's it. That's it from us for you. All right. I hope you learned a lot. If you have any questions for Barbara, you can put it in the comments and we'll get it to her and we'll find a way to get the answers to everybody. Okay. Thank you, Victory, for the wonderful clap. Yeah, it was very insightful keynote. And now we're moving on to the next part of today's event, which is a panel session where you get to meet very amazing people that will tell you more in a little more detail about how they create the tech products that you use every day. So we have Debbie Basharon, senior product designer. Debbie is an amazing designer. You should check out her portfolio. It's beautiful. And then we have Moody Ogbaru. Moody is also a fantastic senior product manager. They've been doing this for quite a while. Then we have Dr. Fausto. He's both a doctor, right? Like he has a PhD. He's a co-founder and CTO at Lancers Tech. Yeah. So you're welcome to today's panel, everyone, as we discuss. Hello.
Hello.
Okay,
Hi.
right.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Say something, Debbie.
Hi, I said hi. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here.
All right, great. Okay, so we're going to be kicking off with introductions, and I just give very brief introductions. So I'm giving the stage over to everyone to introduce themselves, talk about their journey, and their career, and as briefly as possible. Please, thank you. So we'll start with Moody. Yeah, so because we just wrapped up with Barbara, that gave us this amazing journey
Yeah,
about how it takes, what it takes to become a product leader and
exactly.
everything involved there. So yes, you just tell us your own story and how you got into this and how it has been for you up until this point.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Ajiri. Thank you for having me. And thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you to Barbara. Such a very detailed journey she took us through. I learned a few things from there also. Right. I'm a senior product manager at Social Reputation. I started my journey into product um, in 2016, right, where I was I started as a product owner for a fintech product called Social Lender. Before then, I started my professional career as a business development manager and moved to becoming a business analyst. The company I was working with at the time was, Bincom, a tech company. We're building software application for banks, the likes of high street banks in Nigeria, the GTs, the Access of this world. We're building internet banking, what's it called? Digital banking platform for them and building mobile apps for them. But the business took a strategic decision to build our own product, right? And I became the first product manager. That's how I joined the product team for our own product, which was a lending product at the time. So we started by building a learning product. I developed that into a digital financial service portfolio, offering payment, offering insurance, offering customer onboarding for some of the high street banks in Nigeria, South Africa, and Ghana. Right. So that's my journey. Build products in fintech largely. I build product in customer feedback analysis platform. I build products. Voice of the customer products is where my strength typically lies because I love to talk to people. I love to build build product that solves specific problems, and I can move our customers from point A to point B. Currently, I'm building Social Reputation, which is an alternative to credit scoring platform targeted at migrants and students with thin credit file, right? So you're not able to get into the mortgage system because your credit history is a bit poor or slow, right? We're able to use digital metrics to be able to appraise you correctly so that you are able to get those credit cards, those mortgage systems, and build your credit score from there. So that's what I'm building at the moment. Excited to talk more about it, but I don't want to seize the mic. So let me yield it to someone else to introduce themselves. So, but it's good to be here. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you very. You have spoken like a true passionate product manager that is passionate about their project. All right, so go over to Dr. Fausto. Yeah, so please,
Oh,
over to
thank,
you.
thank you, Ajiri, and thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Salutes from Brazil. So I'm talking to all of you from South Brazil, and all my background is in technology and software development. So I became a founder something around 7, 8 years ago, and all of my businesses are in the tech industry as well. I'm now co-founder of two companies, 1% and Lanceros. 1% is a blockchain company, Web3 company, and Lancero is a software development company. And my journey into product was when I started moving from technical aspects of IT into more on innovation and startups. So I had the opportunity of being product manager for two startups. One was is a marketplace, and so it's very interesting to analyze and understand the user behavior in terms of B2C and B2B markets. And the other was environmental company, the carbon credit company. So it's all very different scenario. But anyway, the same sort of skills you can apply in order to develop great products that people love. So I'm looking forward to for this moment, and I hope we can dig deeper into many ways that we can do that. So I'm glad to be here. It's a big pleasure to be part of this panel.
All right, thank you very much. We're also really excited to have you here today. And we're moving over to Debbie. You've been smiling and laughing a lot. Let's hear it. Let's have it. Hi, Debbie. You're muted, by the way.
Okay, hi everyone. Hi AJ. I like to call you AJ. Hi everyone. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me. Talking about my journey into tech. So I had one of those non-technical entry into tech, into products generally, right? For my first degree, I studied marine biology, so I came from a marine biology background into products, right? So to me, that was not very straightforward. So after my first degree, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I spoke to a couple of people asking about things, and they said, you know what, you just have one life to live, try things out and see what you like. So what I did next was I started learning software, Photoshop and the rest, Photoshop, CorelDRAW and the rest. So I started off being a graphic designer per se. After which I looked for an internship. So that internship actually was now the funnel or the leg that helped me get into product product properly in a way, because that internship was more of a graphics design, videography, animation thing. So it was like collection of different things. But I really liked it because it helped me try out different things and see what I liked. And it was there that I learned that I actually was tilted more to being a generalist than any other thing. And my internship was at Exov tutor.ng then. And after which I moved to ESL. ESL is a fintech in Nigeria. And so this is based all of these are based in Lagos, Nigeria. In Nigeria that basically serviced so it was majorly B2B. So you had a B2B and B2C part, right? So it serviced ESL serviced businesses, and we talk about creating payment solutions and even going as far as what POS is it POS? You have this card readers and all of that. So creating all of that for our clientele and the businesses. But much more than that, we also then I remember then I used to design for other businesses because ESL would get this contract, right? So that and then bring the project in now. So I create like white label products for brands like Asamata at the time, and then I'll design all of these things. So it was pretty interesting, and that's why I came into design. I've been doing this for a bit now, for a little time now, so about 7+ years, and I would say that looking at my career, I've worked for both B2B and B2C industries, and I've also designed for clients in what's it called? Clients in industries like fintech, banking, Web3, developer tooling, health tech, to name a few. And I've seen that it's pretty interesting. That's about it about on how I got into design. Short, succinct, and straight to the point. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so now we're going to move straight into the questions. And yeah, very basic one. Yeah, so what does your typical day look like in your current role? So start with Dr. Foster.
Okay, thank you, Ajiri. Actually, my day starts usually at 8:30 in the morning, something like that, when I prepare for the day. But at 9 o'clock, we have a daily meeting with the team. So typically, we have all the team together to talk a little bit about their activities, and especially if they have some kind of blockade to their work and how things are going. And on Fridays, for example, just like today, we have a refinement meeting where we can take some of our product features to detail better in terms of user experience and front end development, back end development, etc. So we have a small discussion, and then we move all of these notes to our board to keep track of this details, and then I can move to some meetings. I usually try to have all the meetings during the mornings part of the day, because during the afternoon I still work on software development of the product. So I combine both product owner role and backend developer role at this time. So for me, my day is basically all the internal management in the morning, and in the afternoon, I try to focus on development. But it's not uncommon for me to dedicate time to work on presentations, product presentations, and sales support, and also working on research, because it is very important for a product owner to do research. And from time to time, we need to do some housekeeping in terms of keeping the Kanban organized to support the team with the priorities that we need to conduct every day. So basically, this is how a typical day in my life looks like.
All right, awesome. So over to you. You know who I'm talking about.
Moody.
Yes.
All right. So different days, different coloration, actually, right? For me, right? But typically, I start my Monday. All right. If I take a Monday, I start by speaking with sales team, customer experience team, just to know if there was fire over the weekend. I know if we have to start raising pen test tickets, or if we have to start, unblocking ticket. But that's how my Monday usually starts. At 9 a.m. I'm speaking with, I have a cross-functional team meeting with the sales team, with customer experience team and solution architect team, just to find out what our customers are talking about, what feedback do we have, and stuff like that. That crystallizes into between 11 and between 11:30 and 12:30. I'm in different stand-up, right? Just getting feedback from the developers to know what they're doing. In between that time, I'm going back to my backlog and redefining priorities depending on the feedback I get from the customer experience team, the sales team, the support team, right? And that progresses into having one-on-ones. That progresses into, depending on the days, like Thursdays, I sit down for an hour with my design team, right, to look at what we are building next, right? Wednesdays, I am doing refinement. I do refinement twice a week because I don't want to do long refinement. It gets boring doing refinement for 2 hours. So I rather do the refinement for 50 minutes twice a week, just to make it fun and make it, targeted, right? And that's so different days, different coloration. Fridays is a bit relaxed, right? I do a lot of writing, documentation. So Friday is when I go through everything I've written in the week and just try to see what has dropped, what we need to fix, what we need to pick up. And yeah, so that's Friday in the morning. I have a block time from 10 a.m. to 12. I am reading through all my plenty notes. You find me on Jira, you find me on Confluence at that time, just reading through my documentation. So that's how, of course, there are different days. There can be fire, and it starts with fire on the mountain, and it progresses to days that are relatively calm. Everybody's happy, and we just do regular sprint exercise. So yeah, that's how my day goes.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing. And I'll move over to Debbie. I want to ask you a question that's a spin off of what you were talking about. So you said, I can't remember exactly the course, but you said you have a background in something else and then you moved into tech. So
Yeah.
how did that transition happen, and what advice do you have for someone that might be in similar shoes as yours and is feeling like tech isn't for them?
Hmm. Thank you for that question, AJ. It's quite interesting question because I remember then, I think it was 2015, 2016-ish, and I was done with my first degree in marine biology, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. Back then in Lagos, in Nigeria, tech was not like the anything that it was right now. So one of the first things I did was to carry out my research. Research is very important, and it's not until you know how we product designers do research into things that it's not until you do that it's not until you do that that it counts. Like you can actually just take time speaking to people in the field, right? And so doing that helped me get a general overview of what it looked like. This is what I would like to do. So for me at the time, one thing that stood out was that I didn't know of any female designers then, right? And so I the closest people that I knew to designers, product designers, was a graphic designer. So I had to sit down with him and talk to him and ask questions. And then it was the one that gave me the advice about if it's just one life, the best way to know if you will do it or not is to try it. And if it doesn't work or you don't like it or there's no fit, you can move to the next thing and try until you find your fit. So the first thing for me was actually doing that research in quote. And after that, one thing then I had to start familiarizing myself with the tools. So this is where I would say don't wait until you get a job before you start building your portfolio. Yeah, I know it feels wonky, but the truth is that for every job you want to apply to, they want to see that you've done something. Because one key skill that makes a lot of sense for a product designer to have is proactivity, right? It doesn't mean that you go and start doing it yourself, but at least you've looked at the trends, you look at data, you look at this, or you've even started out with support, you've had the meeting. So sometimes and then you've noticed this and this, or you have ideas, you bring it in. Everybody doesn't, I don't know, a lot of team don't want people that they have to tell that you have to do this or you have to or micromanage. People want people that are proactive. So look around you. There are problems that you can solve with design, right? Everything doesn't have to be fintech. I'm sorry, this is not a solve for those of us in but it can solve problems for different things, right? Look around you. There are things. So it might be a product that helps people better understand their surroundings or something that educates people about green earth or something, so look around, and from there you can build your portfolio. And so it can start from there. You can have a project like a case study that you can put on your portfolio. Then you now start thinking about building, your portfolio. Then one other thing that I didn't do until later that I would advise anybody would do now is network aggressively. Go to events, meet people, and when you meet people, don't meet them with the mindset of I want to leash off this person, because people can smell and feel that, right? Just go like come with your natural self, right? But meet people, get to know people, and just always have the mindset of giving too. Don't just always come with, oh, okay, I'm here to, meet people and see where I can get my next connect from and get into the field. Sometimes you can just check in on people and just say hello or hi. And there's something that, and also, fourth, my fourth point is, it's advisable to go with elevator pitch or seat pitch, depending on what you like, and this depends on you really, because sometimes I feel like it can be very, very too professional. Maybe there's not a word like that, but it's best to go with your best foot forward. So having an elevator pitch or a seat pitch will help you know what you want to say when you get there, not when you now meet the people that you're trying to connect with and like, so I do, yeah, that's that. Also, I think one core thing that also says know yourself. I say that because self-discovery is a continuous process. You get, the Debbie of now is not Debbie of when I started my career. No, there are things I know now that if I knew then, oh my God, I'll be changing the world. You get, like them. So know yourself. It's a continuous process. And know yourself also means that come to terms with your strengths, understanding your strengths and play to your key strengths, understanding your weaknesses like a SWOT analysis, or just know who you are and knowing how best learn. Because the product or tech industry is a continuous learning journey. You don't get to a place where you're like, oh, I know everything. Aha, the next day you're shocked that you know nothing. You're just getting started. So that involves knowing how you learn. How best do I learn? I know how I learn. How best do you learn? How best do you retain information? Are you okay? Then what's your mental health looking like, amongst other things? I think other things I also talk about is the essence of setting clear goals. So it's easy to say, oh, I want to become a product designer or a product manager, but how? Like, set clear goals and put timelines to it, and then break those goals into small actionable goals. Oh, I want to become so in 1 year. I have mentees that we had this discussion and they're better for it, right? I want to become a product designer in 1 year. What do I need to do every day to get me there? What do I need to do in a weekly to get me there? What do I need to do in 3 months to have achieved in 3 months, 6 months? So set clear goals. So it's just say, oh, I want to be a designer, and then 2 years have passed. Okay, yeah, I want to be a designer. I think I'll just stop here. Thank you very much. Those are
All
advices
right.
that I have.
Thank you so much for sharing, Debbie. My next question goes to Dr. Fausto. You mentioned that you have been a founder for so many years. That's very inspirational, by the way. And you also mentioned that you're also a product owner while being a backend engineer and a co-founder. That's I've not seen that combination before. Backend engineers that I know don't like to do anything that concerns the core product, right? So how did you become this person? You're pretty much a very generalist in products, right? So how did you become this person, and what challenges did you face on your way there, around building the products that have made you into who you are today?
Oh, okay. Thanks for asking. It's yeah, sure. It's very interesting scenario, but I think it's worth mentioning that I'm in my 40s now, so I've been in this industry for 24 years. So I think that I'm doing this right now because I developed a good background in software development 24 years ago. So I've been working in software development since then. And after some time just working as a software developer, I started studying more about innovation and startups and business models and etc. And then I started shifting my career to something more dedicated product management and product ownership. So I think that this is how I combine those characteristics. And I think that communication is something, a strong skill in my profile. So I think that I can communicate in a well structured form, so I can help the team understanding the priorities with clear communication. And after that, I can dedicate some time to work on backhand tickets, backhand cards from the Kanban. But I think that this combination is just because my background, I started as a developer, so then I shifted to a more product centered profile. So for now, I say that all of the software development tasks I've been choosing to develop for the team is more to help the team to have a faster pace in terms of product shipping. But my main role in the team now is as a product owner. So if I need to choose something to prioritize when it comes to the table, I prioritize product ownership and doing all the research and talking to customers and understanding how the product is working for them. And in my spare time, I dedicate some time to pick some cards in the Kanban to help the team to deliver product faster. But yeah, it's been a while, so I believe that some of these comes with the experience and time.
Oh, that's I. Wow, that's all I can say. 20. Okay, we'll get there one day. One day
Yeah, I
we'll get
started at
there.
20, yeah, year 2000, yeah, yeah, at college, and
Wow,
quite a
amazing,
while.
really amazing. So I'd like to say to our audience that are watching right now, if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section, and you can tell us who you're directing the questions to, or if they're general questions. So while we're getting the questions from the audience, let's move on to Moody. Dr. Foster talked about communication as a great skill that he has had to learn and use through his career. Debbie mentioned a few things too. So, what would you say is okay, let me not say one thing, what are the two top most skills that have helped you grow in your career? And what would you recommend for anyone coming into tech or product management or life and career in general? What would you say you would advise them, the skills you would advise them to
Yeah.
have and utilize?
So when you say two, it becomes very difficult. There's a lot of skills, and yes, Debbie, alluded to some of them. But I would say for me, relational skills are very important. So communication, learn to communicate, learn to be precise, have a perspective, and learn to question your own narrative. And that's how you will find how to become better, because you have to keep asking those questions. Why am I doing this? Why is Apple releasing 16? Why are they doing 15? I thought 13 was awesome. So learn to critique yourself, learn to be curious, and learn to communicate. So that I'll put that under communications. All right. And I'll also say the second skill that I think is very important, especially in the product journey, is that you have to know how to document. Right. Learn how to document on your journey. Right. Think on paper, write a lot. Ideas become clearer when you write them down. That's what I think. It becomes clearer when you write them down. And because we live in a fast-paced world, it's always changing, right? You need to write stuff down, because you're talking to sales today, you're talking to developer tomorrow. You quickly forget what you have written down or what you have thought about. So when you don't write them down, you forget. And if you forget, people look at you as incompetent, showing up for meetings and you don't have your figures, you don't have your stats at your fingertips. It's difficult to convince anybody. Pretty much the job of a product manager or a product owner is coming out and convincing people that you know what you're doing, and you know that you're going to take them to the promised land if they follow these steps, right? So documentation is very important on that journey, and learning how to be clear is also very important. Communication. Those are the two top ones that I have taken very top in my career journey. And there are a lot more of them, but I'll start with those two.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. Communicate, communicate, communicate. And I would like to ask Debbie, wait, you answer the next one. Dr. Fausto, this question. What would you say is the greatest thing you've learned on your journey, both as a career person and as a founder in the tech space?
Wow, there's a there's so many things that come into my mind that I've learned throughout these years. But one thing that comes to my mind after hearing Debbie and Moody is uh, the fact that there is there is no there is no end to to the to the purchase to pursuit for sorry we're every time we're trying to reach a goal in our career in our life, so people want to get into technology and work in technology and product and design and everything. But sometimes we think, oh, I'm not a developer yet, I'm not a designer yet, I'm not a product person yet, and we we keep always setting goals that are too far from where we are, and sometimes we do not dedicate time to celebrate our accomplishments. And it's common for us to meet people that are not satisfied or not happy with their current position, and don't and cannot consider themselves as tech people, for example. So this is something, one lesson that I've learned through all these years, is that there is no there is no there is no end for learning, and there is no end for self development, and it is all right. There is no problem with that. I think that we need to find ways to feel comfortable with that, and as soon as possible start considering yourself and ourselves as tech people, because in product and technology there are so many areas and skills that you can put in place to build great products. So this is something that really comes into my mind, is not demanding too much from ourselves in terms of putting unreachable goals, and not celebrating what you are accomplishing now, because there's a lot of things that you can do in the future. But for now, you're doing great. You can do better. You can evolve with time. But you can look back and see how you develop to until today, and celebrate it, and consider you as a tech person or as a product person right now. Celebrate it and keep studying, keep developing to move forward. But this is something that really comes to my mind after hearing Debbie and Moody, because in their speech there's something that reminds me that we need to celebrate what we have now.
That's amazing. Thank you very much, Dr. Fausto. Unfortunately, we're going to have to bring you back again because everybody is intrigued that you have 24 years of experience and they really want to know how you were able to do it. So they're saying, how do you compete in the international space as a career person? Uh, I would say Debbie can take this because for the longest time, and ever since I've known Debbie, she has always been a top performer across the world. Right? She's always in high demand. She's currently in the UK as a global talent, so I think she knows a few things about being an international competitor. Yeah. So Debbie, let's have this for you. You're muted.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I think it was by Oluwani Shola. So yeah. So thank you for that question. Um, so the first thing I would say about this is that first build your portfolio. So because you need to put a strong foot forward. So having something, a solid piece of work that you can put forward is the first thing. The second will be put yourself forward. So this would mean that so I know that in recent times there's been talk around, should you maybe not a content creator, but should you have like a brand, a public brand, and be branded as a stage and things like that. I would say that the decision is yours to make, right? But at the end of the day, you want to be findable, right? Across these different mediums that recruiters and um hiring managers would go to, right? Because if you apply for a job and there's no portfolio or something, anything to look at, of course you'll be disqualified. So, and also it also gives credence to your work if there's a LinkedIn where they can go and then they can read about, see your interactions and say that you're a real human being. One. Two, you also have like what they call this the recommendations from past employers that you worked with. It adds some sort of credence to it. I think also the third thing would also be um understand that no man is an island. So sometimes you might not have the network to get the kind of jobs that you want. So you might want to reach out to people. So at the end of the day, it still boils down to networking, right? So it doesn't have to be just physical space or going to events. It can also be digital, right? As long as you don't have I want to use this person kind of mindset. Those are things that work for me. I would say then also apply, apply, apply. I say this because sometimes we remove ourselves from opportunities before we even before we even put ourselves in the playing ring. It's so easy to look at it and be like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't apply for this. I'll say that apply, but ensure that you meet the requirements. So I think the figure was about maybe 60%, 55%, 70%. Because truth is, for every role, you still have some growing to do in the role. Because every role is very unique, right? And there are different combinations of these different skill set that you need to excel in different roles, right? And the truth is, so you're coming in, maybe you have your soft skills are great, your technical skills are great, but then you come into certain role, you come to those roles, there are other things you might need to do better, or you might need to rearrange for you to shine. So it's quite important for you to know the role, right? And that's why when you're interviewing, ask the recruiter questions. Like ask them questions that help you understand what they need, what you need to shine in the role. And one of such questions I always try to ask is about three core skills that need to shine in the role, and how would that tie into the long-term vision for the product, right? For the product and project, so that I can shine. Because at the end of the day, when you go to a role and you shine, it becomes easier to add on the project too. You have more recommendations from your peers and higher ups, what they call them, managers and others that you can use. I never can tell you where your next role will come from. Sometimes it's referral, sometimes it's yeah, oh, I have this thing that this project that I was looking at, I was looking for a designer. So you never can tell. So also, which leads me to my last point, which is always leave a good foot. I'm talking a lot about fit, I know, but always, 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 always make good impressions. So if you're at work, even when you have well, not issues, or with your colleagues, resolve it amicably. And these are all parts of skill set that you need to learn. How do you, and like Media said, relational skills, right? How do you relate to others? How do you work with others, right? How do you end issues? It's normal, you work with people. So these are all important things, because at the end of the day, you don't want to work at a place and then leave and then you can't get recommendations because things have gone bad, and and you know how it is. It's a very small world. Forget that the entire world is really, really small, really, really small. I mean, you can work in different continents, and at the end of the day, somebody from this place knows that place and knows you and knows you. And you're like, okay, I'm in the middle, right? So always leave a good foot, notes, impression, recommendations. That'll be all. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Debbie. So we're going to wrap things up here. If your question was not answered, I'm very sorry. Please, all the people that want to talk to Dr. Fausto, You can reach out to him on LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure he would respond to your questions directly. So yeah, so take it to LinkedIn and he would respond to you. So thank you very much, everyone that has been here. Our lovely panelists. Thank you, Moody. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Dr. Fausa. Thank you, Barbara, even though she's no longer here. And yeah, this was an amazing, amazing session. Enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, now back to me. I'd like to say I hope you learned as much as I have in today's session. I've learned so much, even though I've been doing this for a while too. And yeah, essentially, all the pointers around communication, putting yourself out there, and patting yourself on the back and saying, okay, I'm doing good enough, and I should have a plan and goals and OKRs until I achieve the goals that I want. So let's take that down and let's go on to become the great people in tech that we were meant to be. So now to wrap up, I would like to say, make sure you follow Builders Tribe everywhere on all socials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because there'll be more things like this happening, right? And you don't want to miss it, trust me. And also, we have our event coming up on 26th of October in Doha, Qatar. And if you are in Doha or you're anywhere near and you want to come in, we'd love to have you. And yeah, so that's it for today. And we'll see you tomorrow as we talk about startups, building startups, and what it means to have a career as a startup mentor or as a VC in the startup world. All right, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bring that joy. Bring that joy.
In one word, describe the game's hangout.
Vibrant. Everyone's kind of getting along, playing games.
I would be underestimating if I gave it any less than a 10, right? I've met some fantastic people here today, so it's a 10.
Oh, I'm loving it, especially this drink from Court of Cards. Yes, the best drink ever, passion fruit.
I had a lot of fun, honestly. I feel I've been in touch with my inner child, which is something I should do more.
Such a different atmosphere altogether. I don't think I have ever been to such an event earlier.
What's your impression of Builders Tribe so far?
Builders Tribe just screams community. It's just for the people.
The way you've managed and organized this event, I'm really impressed because it's something that we haven't done before and we were lacking as a community.
It's a nice community. I love how you came up with the idea to network with a lot of people. Networking, chilling, hanging out, playing cards. I love it. Drinks, especially. I love my drinks.
Community. Coming together. I've met 6 new people today, which is really good. And I'm going to take those meetings further. I'm going to just through games.
It is getting interesting, and I think after today's conversation that I had around the table, there's some interesting subject and plan and project coming up.
This tech community is different in terms of the way networking is being happening. There are these young minds behind it, so we get to learn a lot with these guys.
I've been looking for a community such as this for quite some time.
It's a lovely community actually and diverse. I love that I met some people who work with as mentors in the community, and it's also fun to see some university students joining, so there's a really diverse, let's say, background of people joining all in all.